Welcome to the InCred podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the InCred podcast. Did you know that in a recent survey conducted by Live Mint, 91% of Indian students want to study abroad despite the COVID-19 challenges? So in today's podcast, we will be discussing the opportunities and challenges of studying abroad in the face of the pandemic. And joining us today is Mr. Asslam Shaikh, International Education Expert and founder and CEO of Aleph Overseas Education, an award-winning education company that has helped over 23,000 students to choose the right career, college, and country. He's also the ambassador of Swiss Education Foundation, India's largest platform to promote premium Swiss institutes. Hi, Asslam. Welcome to the InCred podcast. We're very happy to have you here with us.
Hi, Bhavna. Thank you very much for having me here.
Great. So, Asslam, the past year has been really difficult for everyone, right? Like with the pandemic and a lot of industries getting affected. One of the things that has been majorly affected is education abroad for Indian students. So now with the vaccine coming up, there's hope, for things to get better. At this particular point in time, what does studying abroad look like for an Indian student?
As you rightly mentioned, this is not an easy time for the students and parents to take a big decision of going abroad for higher education. However, with the advancement of the vaccinations program, which is taking place across the world, UK is progressing very fast as well as the other countries. Ireland now has started showing very good results, and they have reported less than 500 cases in the entire country. And the confidence which has been showed by the different governments of the different countries, except few, of course, it's giving a little bit of more space for the students and parents to think, and that's the reason why probably we are seeing that there's a lot of applications coming in for the September intake, because they're expecting that this program would take it further and will have maximum people covered under the vaccination, and September would be the safe time for them to travel. So I believe that definitely this year is looking better, far better than the last year.
Okay, great. And in terms of the countries itself, which countries are currently open to accept international students?
Almost all the countries, except unfortunately 2 countries, Australia and New Zealand. All other countries are open for the international students. In fact, a country like US, with the change of administration there and the change of immigration rule followed by the change of administration, is also welcoming the students. The kind of news and the kind of reports are coming in, and the announcements which the new government is making is really encouraging for the students to again travel and look back US. And Switzerland, for example, they were the first country, in fact, who opened up their borders. They were declared the most safest country in the world by Forbes magazine in the month of August only last year. So they took remarkable measures in order to ensure that the country is very much in control of the pandemic. So our students started going in the last year, September, October onwards. They started going to Switzerland. Ireland also, as I mentioned, that they reported far less cases compared to other European countries, especially. So the government is very adaptive, and they are welcoming the students, and they're making sure that they are offering them all the supports. Universities are offering all the support. So France, Germany, Dubai, these all countries are welcoming the international students. Only Australia and New Zealand, for some very strange reasons, because they were under very much control, but still the few cases were noticed in the city of Melbourne, and then later on the government had to take a decision. But I believe it's really harsh decision for the international students' point of view. And New Zealand was very much in good position to open up the border, but because of Australia, they had to restrict down the entry for the international students. So barring these two countries, other countries are wide open for the students.
That's really good news. And how about the study model in these universities? Is it a hybrid model? It's a completely offline or online model?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking to the universities on a regular basis. In my weekly webinar on Friday, every Friday, I invite foreign universities, and we always discuss about this study model, which is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Universities have started moving from online to hybrid model. Of course, not a complete offline model yet, but
Hmm.
many universities, of course, are offering online. So you can still travel to the country.
Hmm.
You can attend the classes online, but the university campuses is open for the international students. It means that you attend the classes online, but you have access to the common facilities offered to the international students on
Okay.
campus. So you can visit the campus, you can use the library, you can use
Mm-hmm.
the project rooms, research rooms, etc. Some universities have moved a little further, so they are offering online and offline model. So essentially the courses which requires the lab involvement,
Hmm.
or any practical assessments like culinary classes, for example, for hospitality students,
Right.
so they have started offering the offline or hybrid call of model, whereby you can still go into the classes and attend the live sessions. So that's how they are managing at the moment.
So no university has actually started a fully offline model which was existing in pre-COVID times. Have any of them done that?
To my knowledge, none of the university has completely gone into offline mode,
Hmm.
because what does that mean is that then you have to have those many students to address at one point of time
Mm-hmm.
in the normal sitting classroom setup, which becomes very difficult. So what they have done is that they have split the classes over the weeks or over the days. For example, so I split the class in half, and then
Hmm.
one day I'll call the half of the class, and then another day half of the classroom. Or alternatively, that they have split the whole group into four groups, and they are keeping a time distance between the classrooms, so that one group can safely leave, and then another group after 30 minutes can arrive and then attend the class.
Okay. Okay. That's quite interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before I move to the last few questions, I wanted to personally ask you, uh, which courses have you seen to be most in demand uh, in say the past 3-4 years, especially for Indian students? Which are the courses that are mostly being pursued or have given very good ROI to students?
Yeah, I mean, in this question, there are two, three questions. So I'll try to
Hmm.
split the answer
Okay.
because
Sure.
a lot of universities also wants to know, how's the demand from the India market. And my answer remains always in this two structure format, that one group of students we consider from India, this is the traditional group,
Hmm.
and they're asking for the traditional programs, and they're still in majority. So what do we
Hmm.
mean by this? Is engineering programs,
Hmm.
computer and IT programs, and the business programs. So by far, they beat any other program demand from India market.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a traditional group that's always been in majority. Another group which is coming up, it's in minority, but it's showing year on year increase, is a group of students who are asking for non-traditional, unconventional programs.
Hmm.
And this is where media and arts could be one, humanities. Within humanities, of course, programs like photography, you have got arts, you have got
Hmm.
programs like music, people wants to learn, seeing
Mm-hmm.
the trends which has been we've been seeing in India. There are lots of platforms have been opened up for the talented students to perform. So they want to
Hmm.
formally learn the music. Then you have got psychology. It's a very much in demand program, and then there are lots of application to psychology. So people are exploring this particular sports management. I could talk about these are the new trends. Again, the students and parents are exploring, and they're not afraid to go for this unconventional program. Now,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the last part of your question, that ROI point of view, uh, still the traditional program which are always being in demand are, of course, giving the best ROI. For example, and especially in this situation, computer and IT, for example,
Hmm.
that's been a good ROI generated program for the international student, because they can easily absorb themselves in most of the companies. Programs like aeronautical engineering, mechanical engineering are always in demand.
Hmm.
Among this new trend of programs, I would say sports management is doing quite well. There's huge opportunity for the students to be absorbed in abroad. Now, again, there are certain programs which are in demand in abroad, but unfortunately, you don't find much scope here back in India if at all you want to come back, unless you don't have any strong pathway or career plan. So the
Mm-hmm.
programs like biomedical engineering, biochemical engineering, forensic programs. So
Mm-hmm.
these are the programs which have got huge demand in abroad market, because of the research and development, because of the advancement of the industries in this particular area. But
Hmm.
coming back to India, unfortunately, you don't find much takers, of students who have got this kind of advanced qualification.
Right. That's a very interesting point of view. I think that's very good piece of information. Uh,
You're
so,
one.
so given that the way people are studying has changed now, has that impacted the tuition fees that typically an international student would pay for these universities?
Yeah, I mean, this should have happened. That's a very straightforward question and very common sense question. But unfortunately, universities have got their point of view. So the tuition fees largely remain same. To be offered to the students. Of course, they have went ahead to offering the different scholarships and discounts. But having said that, that's an offer. But for the tuition fee point of view, to offer you at the one first stage, it still remains same as compared to the last year.
Okay, that's a bit sad piece of news, to be
Yeah.
honest. And so before we end the podcast, do you have any advice for Indian students who have really dreamed of studying abroad? Any last piece of advice?
Yes. So if I have to advise, I would say that last year I think, was kind of a pause in a life for everybody. Whether it's a student, as an entrepreneur, as an agency, as a company. But this year onwards, I think it looks positive, and we have to move on with the current challenges. The things are moving on a positive direction. We got to think it in that way as well. And there are lots of ways. I mean, I would say that this pandemic, of course, has put a lot of pressure, but at the same time, it has given a lot of opportunities also for the
Mm-hmm.
students to, experiment with their skills, take a break, and do the self-assessment. So a lot of students did self-assessment during this last year. They did assessment tests with us, and then they identified, no, I wanted to do long back this thing, and should I go for my passion, or should I go for what I'm doing at the moment? So I believe this is a good time for do your self-assessment, during
Hmm.
this break time. Get to know yourself well, because in the rush of completing our education, we just take a progressive step without, thinking twice, and we get influenced knowingly, unknowingly by the society. So many students found a right path in this time. Um,
Hmm.
and now the world is opening, the world has opened up. Take a maximum advantage, because the things has to move on. The industries are coming back, the hotels are coming up into the industry. The style of operation would change, but industry would still thrive. The
Hmm.
hospitality industry, for example, they have adapted very smartly to this current challenges. But you see, the hotels are happening. I mean, I was just last week, I was in one hotel, and then they are hosting one of the biggest exhibition in this given time.
Hmm.
So things are moving on, but they have followed the different operational methods in order to meet the current regulations, but also make the business going on. So I believe there are lots of opportunities for the students. Foreign has always been the most important destination to go abroad, because there are requirements, there are job requirements, there are people who are looking for potential professionals, and
Hmm.
that always will be there because of their low birth rate. So I believe we as an Asian, as an Indian, have got huge opportunity to explore this option.
Perfect. So, Aslam, you would suggest for students to apply this year. It is a good year
Absolutely.
for them too.
In fact, some of the colleges have already declared that some of their programs are already full. So don't take application anymore for that program. So that's
That's
already started happening.
That's very promising indeed. Anyway, Aslam, thank you so much. I think it has been a very insightful session for all of us.
Thank you, Bhavna. Thank you very much for having me onto your show. And I hope that this would add some value to our listeners.
Yes, thank you so much, Aslam.